Hello everyone, and welcome to another of our mental health minis, looking at how sport has impacted people's mental health and what advice they may be able to offer. Today, I'm honoured to be joined by the former world and European 400-meter hurdles gold medalist Dai Greene. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. As say, thank you for doing this. Hopefully we can convince people to talk about their mental health, and obviously everyone can be affected, and we'll hear from you. So I suppose let's crack right on with it. Talk to me about your experiences. Obviously you're a guy who's competed at the very top of his sport and won, but I can imagine there are some lows in there as well.
Yeah, I guess from my point of view, it's pretty much 11 months of work to get yourself towards the major championships, and then people typically only see that major championships, but the road to get there is very up and down. And what I would say being an athlete is that if I'm injured or if I'm struggling with training and I have a problem, then I do become I don't necessarily want to use the word depressed, but I just become sad that I can't do what I want to do. I'm certainly a less fun person to be around when I'm injured. So what I would say is that, generally being an athlete, it sort of fluctuates quite a bit, and it's always in line with how well you're training or how fit you are in terms of your body has got. If I injure myself say on a Monday, I'm going to be down in the gutter for the rest of the week, kind of thing. And it takes a lot to sort of try and get me out of it, because athletics is so important to me, and it is like pretty much everything. So if I can't do that, or if I'm not where I need to be, it's a tough one to swallow. Then
I can only imagine, and I suppose as I've spoken to other people about this, the euphoria of winning when you've won those gold medals, I can imagine beats nothing else. But then not being able to do that week in, week out, if you do get injured, obviously can I assume make it feel much worse as well, because you have hit those highs.
Yeah, for me personally, I had a really strong part of my career early on, and around sort of 2009, 10, 11, and a bit in 12 as well. And then since then, it's sort of taken a bit of a dip for me. So yeah, it's been difficult to sort of overcome that. It's a strange one. As long as I'm training well and I'm getting back to competing, I would love to be at the top level all the time, but I just know that that's not always the reality. But as long as you're doing the best you can, and that you're competing, so I get so much joy from competing when I'm fully fit, even if it's maybe if it's not quite as high a level as I want. But if you've been injured, you have to overcome those problems, and you're not going to be as fit as you want to be. But the enjoyment comes from competing on a regular basis, and you don't want to do all that training and not get to that point really when you're racing. If that's taken away from you, that's the hardest part, when you don't have a summer of competing. And often I think because we're an individual sport, we don't really have support networks as such to deal with it as well. We do have training partners and things like that, but if you're injured, you're not doing training with everyone else, you're doing your own things. So quite quickly you can go from being in a group environment that's really fun and exciting, everyone's bouncing off each other, to being on a bike on your own in the corner, and then doing a gym workout on your own. So you can get ostracized pretty quickly in the world of athletics when you get injured, which again makes it harder then to deal with, I think.
You've actually preempted my next question. I was going to say, because you're obviously, when you're competing in things like the Diamond League and championships, you're away for quite a while. I can assume it. And I was going to ask what the camaraderie is like when you're competing well. You've obviously got teammates around you, whether it's for Wales, whether it's Great Britain, whether it's competitors, a particular thing. But when you aren't competing, what's it like? Who do you have around you?
Yeah, I guess when we compete, it's usually going pretty well because you're competing. So if you're at a championships, you might not have the result you want, and then there are teammates around you, but at the same time, you might have a close knit of friends that on a team better than anybody else. So you try, well, personally for me, I try to hang around with those people and do something away from sport. And the same goes for if I'm on a camp somewhere. I don't want to be talking shop all the time. I don't want to be talking about athletics or dwelling on my performance too much. So for me, when I've had a bad experience competing, then I like a positive distraction. So hanging around with my friends, we go for food somewhere, go to cinema, something else, so that we're not watching all the other athletes compete, all the other athletes celebrating. We don't want to do that to ourselves. It's harder to accept what's happened to you than if you're just sort of, dwelling in the athletics moments that are happening. So yeah, it's just the positive distractions, I guess. And if you're on a training camp, for example, you got injured, you pretty much just decide to come home, I think, because you need to get a certain amount of physio and scans and things like that. And things like that can be difficult to organize in other countries. So typically you tend to return home. But it's the same protocol. You left your own devices a bit more when you're injured. You can't do the main bit of what you want to do, which is running. For me, I'm sure like throwers just want to throw, jumpers want to jump. If you can't do that, then anything else isn't quite a replacement. Best way to describe it is that I love to train for my event, but whenever I'm injured, it feels like a job. That's probably the best way to describe it. On a job that, is not fun.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
The rest of it's a passion. Love doing it. Work hard. Love running. Doing everything else. When you're injured, it's about ticking the boxes. It's about doing the schedule, and then setting those small goals to get yourself back there. Yeah.
In terms of sort of when you are competing and when you aren't necessarily being as successful as you may like, in terms of athletics, I'm not like I follow athletics for loads of reasons. I enjoy it, but we've spoken to other sports people who, especially football, get a lot of abuse because they're not playing well. I mean, in terms of athletics, do you get anything online? Because I know you use Twitter quite a lot. I follow you, but do you get anything when you're not as successful, or do you get anything at all, I suppose?
Yeah, I do. And when I was more high profile, running better, but still, if I didn't have a good race or didn't have a good result, I had a lot of it. And I think at one point, I think it was at the Olympics in 2012, I had 2 fourth places. I ended up just deleting those apps for a couple of weeks. And if I do see a comment that's a negative one, I'm not one to dwell on it, to be honest, because it generally just doesn't bother me so much what other people think. I do the sport because I love the sport and I want to be as successful as possible within the sport. I want to do the best I can, with my talents. And I know nobody else knows my situation at home, so it doesn't really bother me what they have to say. I can imagine it's amplified a lot greater with footballers and people like that. But I've never read articles about me that are sort of positive ones. So when you do interviews and things like that, I never read those sort of articles and think, oh, they're saying such nice things about me, because I also don't want to read the ones that are negative. So I just don't read those things, because you can't have one without the other. You shouldn't be thinking, oh yeah, give me nice comments, give me praise. And I don't need the praise to train well and apply myself. So I don't need to acknowledge that there's negative comments out there. There always will be. Certainly in the world that we've created with social media, there's always going to be that access that people have to you. And because I put myself on those platforms, it's inevitable that I'd get those sort of comments anyway. It comes with the territory. But yeah, for me personally, I find it easy to just ignore it or simply just block somebody. I'm not one either to sort of call them out, because I feel like that just draws attention to it a bit. And I know that not everybody is who they say they are as well on social media. So you don't know where it's coming from or what the motive is.
That's really good that you're able to do that. In terms of when you are, how do you feel there is a mechanism or a system in place for if athletes are struggling? Do you think there is places for them to go? Do you think there are people for them to talk to?
It's an interesting question. If I was a funded athlete, for example, then you could say go and see a sports psychologist or something. But often I think athletes sometimes think of that as something negative, maybe. I'll be honest, I've learned most of what I know in my career from my training partners. It's a case of they become your friends. They're in the trenches with you doing the hard work. And you tend to share those problems that you have, or any issues or whatever. You tend to share them with your training partners. And if maybe you're not that close to them, then it's a bit more difficult maybe to open up. But in the past, if I've had any issues, I tend to share it with them. Obviously, I'm sure people's partners at home who aren't involved in the sport, they get to hear half of it as well. But for me, I tend not to like to discuss it at home. I probably go a bit quiet. I'm probably guilty of going a bit quiet and not opening up about it to my partner. And then, um, obviously she can tell that I'm just in a bit of a bad mood for whatever reason. And then she sort of just gives me a bit of space then, because I'm trying to deal with the fact that I'm injured, and she knows how much it means to me when I can't do what I want to do. But if that sort of continues for a long time, it can be, it's not healthy if that continues for a long time. It's okay in the short term for a few days. And I typically think to myself, right, I allow myself 24, 48 hours of feeling sorry for myself or whatever. And then after that, it's back on that straight and narrow. It's doing what I need to do to get back to where I need to be, and a bit more goal orientated rather than feeling sorry for myself. But yeah, I guess when it comes to the sort of repeat problems, not being able to do what you want to do, there isn't the sort of a playbook really to sort of fix yourself. And certainly the vast majority of athletes aren't funded anyway, so you kind of just, I think, suffer in silence a bit more really. That's, like I said, you've got your teammates who you're quite close to.
You mentioned there about there isn't a playbook to help yourself sometimes, and you're absolutely right. Sometimes people find it difficult. Sometimes people feel alone on this. In terms of yourself, you mentioned when you're with people, you like to go out for food, go to the cinema, but you also said obviously when you're injured and at home, you go quite internal on yourself. How do you try and bring yourself round? What do you have? Do you have routines, or do you have specific things you think work for you to bring yourself back round and to get yourself motivated again?
For me, it's just acceptance of, typically something goes wrong, something doesn't go right, and you still know where you want to be in the process to get back. Once I know what the process is to get back, say, I get my rehab schedule. I know what training I need to be doing, even if I can't do can't do the running, I'll do other things like biking and swimming. So I start looking at it then as like, right, I need to commit to doing these things in the morning, which is when I would typically train. I can't just leave it till later because I haven't got anybody to police it as such. I need to get on with it and do it when I need to do it. Positive distractions away from the track, just to forget that I'm injured and that training isn't that fun. So usually I go train, it's fun, enjoyable, come back, smile on my face. If I'm not getting that hit at training, then I need to get it from somewhere else. And it'll be things like playing board games with my partner and her family, or playing the computer with my friends or something, and cinema. So those positive distractions, I guess, is what I try to go to and actively try and seek those things out in a time when I need them. Because I know beforehand I don't want to go. I think, oh God, thought of going out and hanging out with mates. Oh, I don't know. They'll probably ask me about being injured or something, ask me about how training's going. And then when I go out, we don't really talk about it because they don't want to talk about training either. And then we all have a really good time. We all feel better because of it. So I know from experience that I need to, force my hand to do those things. I don't live near my family, so I don't really, I'm not super close in terms of, we're not the sort of family that sort of speak all the time on the phone. So for me, it's more, I guess, a partner, her family, which is where I live, and then friends. Then I'm just trying to, to do things that are positive away from the track, because pretty much never talk about track and field at home. My partner is not involved in the sport. She understands it, but she understands that I don't want to talk about it either. So it's just home environment's actually pretty positive in that regard.
Excellent. I've always said I want to keep these short to sort of keep engagement. And I suppose my final question then, for anyone that is watching this that may be struggling, have you got any advice?
Yeah, I would say that don't be frightened to ask for help is the most obvious one. I've been guilty of this throughout my whole career. Whenever I have a problem, I'm not sure, and maybe I've been frightened to ask or think, oh, they won't really care. But as soon as you ask for help or mention it to somebody, they're more than willing to help, and they'll probably come up with an option or an idea that you haven't even thought of. Even if it's just like sharing your concerns or thinking, right, I need to do something more positive. What can I do to change your mindset, or whatever it might be? Like, somebody will have an idea that you haven't thought of, and then you can apply that to your situation. So yeah, don't be frightened to ask for help in whatever manner or form that is.
Wonderful. Well, Dai, thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to me. It's much appreciated. Good luck with the training, and I hope to see you back on the track.
Thanks very much for your time. Cheers.
It's not a problem. Cheers, Dai.